Most Americans deeply sympathize with the people of Ukraine. They got invaded. Who wouldn't sympathize with them? So our Congress and our executive branch have been busy shoveling armaments to the government of Ukraine. And again, no one's questioning anyone's motives here. But if you're going to accelerate a conflict in Eastern Europe, you have to wonder what the consequences might be. What would it mean if the United States was sucked into a war with Russia? Well, that's one of the questions we asked the other day to Congresswoman Maria Salazar of Florida. She's the one who refused to rule out imposing a no-fly zone over Ukraine. In fact, called for it. Watch.
My position is that we should not take the no-fly zone off the table. But before that, that's two. We need to do one. And one is to give Zelensky exactly what he's asking for. No troops on the ground. Let's give him the MiGs and the S-300s, what he needs to defend his own airspace. So he will create his own no-fly zone.
So if you're starting to get the impression that the people formulating our foreign policy have no freaking clue what they're talking about and haven't thought past, say, tonight in the implications of what they're recommending, you may be onto something. There are a lot of deeply ignorant, reckless people, even some of them motivated by perfectly noble impulses, who are running things. So now may be the time to pause and ask, what would it mean to enter into a hot war with Russia? Bryan Dean Wright is a former CIA operations officer. He's thought a lot about that. He joins us tonight. Bryan, thanks so much for coming on. So this is one of those questions. I mean, look, I think the public has a right to determine what it thinks of this and make that decision on the basis of all available facts. So I'd just be interested in asking what you think. How close are we to an open war with Russia, and what would that mean for the United States?
Great questions. It gets worse every day. The possibility of a hot war are real and getting more real every day. Look, what I'm asking Americans to do tonight is put aside their hatred for Putin or Zelensky, for that matter, or Ukraine or Russia. Put all that aside for a moment. Understand that we have, in effect, declared war against Russia. We have done three things. One, we have crippled their economy, right? Two, we are shoving in all these weapons. And third, this hasn't gotten a lot of press. We are giving tactical intelligence to the Ukrainian government to put an X on the forehead of a Russian soldier and Russian equipment. Let me say that a little differently. Our spies and our satellites are helping the Ukrainians kill Russians. So we have declared war. So we should be asking, shouldn't we, what's that war going to look like, to your point? And indeed, we should start with the first place of, well, who's actually putting together our war response? Well, we know that the folks at the Pentagon are the ones who are primarily responsible for that. But actually, wait a second. They just got us out of a 20-year war, didn't they? Or actually, they kept us in one, and we lost it. Yeah. To goat herders, okay? Now we have folks on Capitol Hill and in the White House who were also around for 20 years, and they were the ones who were formulating the policies that also lost that war. So the people who are now formulating our response to a nuclear-armed Russia are the same ones who couldn't figure out how to beat goat herders in Afghanistan. That should cause everyone a very real degree of concern, and we should be asking each other about it, and we should be talking about it. So then the second question becomes, if in fact this gets hot, what happens? We know that it will escalate, and so that means that some of the first steps will be what are called asymmetric, right? Russia can't sanction our economy in the way that we did his, so he's going to do things like a cyber attack. I want people to ask themselves tonight, what if in their hometown Russia were to shut off the lights or the water? Do you think there might be riots? Probably. You brought forward this very horrific idea and notion tonight in Brooklyn and other places of bread lines. Think that could get violent? Of course it could. So how would people's mayors and governors respond to riots? We saw it a couple of years ago. Does that give you pause? Seeing the BLM riots? That should also give you quiet. So we have a whole variety of issues about then the sacrifice that will go on. That's a whole different segment, but it involves young people dying. And we should also be talking about that because our people in Washington aren't going to be the ones sacrificing.
But they are the ones who feel virtuous by doing all of this stuff and damn the consequences. I see a pattern, a recurring theme here, and I'm just grateful for the clarity you provided. Bryan Dean Wright, I hope you'll come back.